Welcome back. We are returning to the two alterations. Now I've put the kilt that was pleated to the set to one side because I'm still having unpicked it, which took hours and hours because of the incredibly fine stitching with rather heavy thread. It took a great deal of time to get it apart, and I'm a little closer to understanding a person's reasoning for that particular pleating method. I'm not completely on board with it, but so just to keep things going, I'm gonna, well, it's laying on the pressing table. It'll be pressed and then dry, and then we'll refigure the pleats. So I'm back to the other kilt, one pleated to the stripes. So to recap, I've robbed 2 pleats from either side. 1, 2, 1, 2. Actually, it looks like I might have taken 3 on this side. In any case, but by so doing, I freed enough cloth to make the inside apron wide enough, in this case 27 inches. Now I've marked it with chalk, so bringing it to here. Grab my tape here for a second because suddenly I don't trust that chalk mark. Okay. This is why the danger of having too many chalk marks, because they get confusing. This is the correct point. You can see right away that's giving us a nice, generous inner apron deep pleat. So 13. Now his waist is 44, his hip is 46. The width of the pleats at the seat are, they fully take account for that. In fact, a little bit more. They take account the extra. They take care of the extra 2 inches, to the point that if I was going to be strictly accurate, it would be smaller the apron would be smaller at the seat than the waist. But that's not what we're going to do. I'm just proceeding with a very minor A-line, a difference of a 1/4 inch from waist to seat. Okay. Now that, when we look over here, it's funny how I always pick up the wrong end of the tape. Okay, so there's our waist measurement. Here's our, again, the hip measurement. And as you can see, that now gives me what is my preferred length of extra cloth, which is a handspan, which is, I don't know, 8.5, 9.5 inches, something like that, but a handspan. And I'm going to be picking out these threads, I think, for a good while. Okay, so that's the inside apron sorted. Now when we look at the outer apron, there's my center. Now the outer apron originally was there, which was 18.5 inches. Again, we're expanding it to 27 inches. So 13.5 at the waist. $27 there. Now, Ordinarily, that's nowhere near the amount of cloth we would need. But remember, the original kilt maker, for reasons of their own, did this extra piece. So we'll see this when we do the canvas. We'll sew this onto the canvas and then sew the apron. Just put it like that and like that. Yeah, it'll look fine from the inside. So that's what we'll do. And looking, there's our mark that a little bit more. Yeah, far too many pens, but whatever. Right. Still quite early in the morning. I'm getting this done now because I have an eye exam in a couple or 3 hours, and of course after that my pupils will be dilated and I won't be good for anything except sitting and thinking until the eye drops are worn off. Okay, so you know how we're dealing with the outside edge, and unfortunately the scar left by his kilt pin is now considerably from the edge, but there's really nothing I can do about that. Again, that's my another reason why I really dislike kilt pins. Looking on the inside, again, we've got a generous deep pleat. This initially looks a bit troubling here, where the cloth had been cut for the buttonhole. But this is okay because when we put the canvas in, pardon me just a second. When we put the canvas in, this damage, well, this is a fish, but this damage will be covered and stabilized by the canvas, and of course the lining goes over top of that, so we really don't have to worry about that. What I will be doing is I'll be putting, this is that polystyrene, hobby polystyrene, I'll be putting that in there to act as it's like a quilting pad, so that when I'm sewing the canvas to this, I'm not also sewing it to the outside apron. And also, when we look at this seam, I mean, ordinarily this is the new first pleat. Ordinarily I'd be opening that seam for the buttonhole, but looking inside, that particular buttonhole, well, there's not a lot of cloth there to form the turn back, and that by itself isn't insurmountable, but it's compounded by this complicated sewing job where they've sewn through at least 2, and in some places 3 layers of cloth. So by opening that seam, it's going to be incredibly difficult to do, but it's also going to have some, at first glance, it's going to have some structural complications a little bit later. So I think what I'm going to have to do is what I did with the last kilt, that when canvas and lining goes in, we reverse the location of the strap and the buckle. So rather than a buckle on the outside here, we'll have a buckle on the end of the inner apron and a strap sewn here, so that we're able to get that tightening effect, but without resorting to the buttonhole. Good, there we go. I'll check in later, very likely much later, because again, eye exam, and we'll carry on from here.